gonna drink, play in the pond. Okay, let me just speak on the radio. Excuse me. Hello, more. Maybe a go. There's something in the water that's interesting him. I'm guessing that this is maybe quarantine male, but I'm only guessing, so it'd be great if I get any answers from some of you viewers. There's something, could be fish, something that's attracting his attention in the water. Guinea fowl have been shouting, and Franklin now right next to him, complaining a little bit. I'm going to go forward, so we don't, well, maybe not going to be necessary now. We've got to see where he's going to go.
Oh, that is not Kunyuma.
No, might be quarantine. Kunyuma's seems to be a bit shyer. He's going to lie down on the rocks, boyki. Or he's going to come up onto the bank, maybe. Yep. You're on the move, maybe. Fantastic, absolutely amazing that we can start a day off. Sometimes in overcast conditions like this, not much about ideal weather for a cat to be strolling around. Just hope that he's going to stay fairly visible, because it gets very thick here. I'm going to switch off so we can, I don't know, maybe try the radio while we're driving, but I've got to keep in touch with the safari vehicles. Jackson, come in. Yeah, we're now up on Central. He's getting mobile, I'm on Central. How's the signal doing with that radio? Copy, thanks. Negative, we're heading sort of more to the east. Heading up towards Central Road and Gary Cutline. Walking parallel to the road. There is a hippo path here he could be walking on. He's choosing to walk a little bit deep in, and now hopefully not going to go down into the drainage line. What? It's going to come out now, maybe come out this way if we just stop quietly. Come up this way, cat. Some people saying looks like could be Kunyuma. Okay, good. Go over. Can't remember where giraffe tip is. Central. So 15. I'm going to get stuck in this deeper. It's going to be about the end of our road. It's probably going to be a little bit too thick from here. Where's he gone now?
He's gone past here.
Squirrels are starting to shout now very intensely. Got a couple of other vehicles now also trying to follow him, and it's just getting a little bit thicker than not here. Vehicles are up there, we'll start to see it. No, he won't be able to. There are two other vehicles here. I think we just maybe wait. Maybe wait here in this little open patch, because if he crosses down, we might see him. That's how a leopard disappears. He probably went deep in the bush back there, just sat down, and you can see something's been sleeping in here. It's probably one of his sleeping spots. You can see a very Morning, Ryan. Ryan wanting to know what Kunyuma means. I'm actually not even sure, Ryan. I'm not really sure. I'll find out for you though. Maybe Alex can do a Google Translate for me. you, Alex. Starting to fall down there. Let's get down into this drainage line. Have a look down here. But he's vanished. 1 minute he was up here, the next minute he was gone. And that might be all we're going to see of this little boy this morning. Kunyuma meaning shy in Tsonga or Shangaan. Squirrels are now starting to shout up here. Well, really.
I think it's going to lie down in that block.
Yeah. Quickly get a flower. As pretty as it is, it's a terrible flower. Well, it's terrible because it doesn't belong here, and it can actually cause some trouble to some of the browsers that might feed on it. This is the South American lantana, Lantana camara, an alien weed in this country. I'm not really allowed to pull it out, not today, but loose another. More of a run up to get up here when it's wet. But it might fit nicely. There we go. I can smell it. Can you smell it, Jim? Popcorn smell. Came up here and then suddenly disappeared. I'm looking for some really deep shade, a deep thicket that he could have just bedded down in. Suddenly there were vehicles around. Nothing in there. Nothing around here. Alex, come in. Maybe Scott can liaise with Texan over the radio so that I don't have signal breakup, and he can just confirm whether it's been picked up again or not. If Scott can liaise with Texan about this Ingwe, maybe he's been picked up again, then I don't have to use Game Drive Radio and cut out. My radio seems to every now and then cause the signal to drop. So better stay off my radio. Well, we had a lovely view of him. I'd say that we were very lucky. It would have been nice to be able to spend more time with him. And who knows, he might decide to crawl out of this woodwork at some point. For the time being though, he seems to have the ninja. You might be able to squeeze through. No. Too much dead wood on the ground. Sorry, didn't copy that. Earpiece fell out. Now I'm hot. Copied. I hope the guests managed to get at least a glimpse of him, but that seems to be our luck for the day. I'm also not hearing any more alarm calls, so I think he has somehow decided to call it a day, tuck in and hide under a bush. Like it came this way either. So we had such a sudden start. Didn't even get to welcome you properly, but it's a lovely temperature at the moment. Warm and humid. Don't know what to say about the sky. It seems quite a high ceiling, but every now and then it sort of rolls in pretty low and then spits and drizzles. But for the time being, at least we don't have to go under covers. As long as we can stay out, I'm happy. I'm going to head up this road a little bit, then we might come back and we'll go back in there just once or twice to have a look again. Might be an idea even to look around on Twin Dams Road. Who knows? Somebody posted a photo this morning from the Kunyuma Dam camera. It's nice to see that the camera's back up again, thanks to Pete and Neville, or whoever was in this. Yes, eh? It's all up and running, of course. One of the zoomies managing to catch a screen capture of the leopard on the dam wall, which is what led me there in the first place. Although I think it must have been about 4 hours since it had been seen on the dam wall, so it was a lucky break that it was still around, actually, very lucky. Could have been another leopard, I guess. So we are 2 vehicles out this morning, and I'm going to hand you over to Scott. What's that? Bongo chasing an eagle. Scott's just going to say hello, and Scott will take you for a little bit of a drive for now. I'm going to continue looking for this leopard, and I'll see you in a short while. So don't go anywhere, enjoy your drive with Scott, and I'll see you shortly, everyone.
From myself and Brian on camera. And what a great start. Mark managed to find a leopard first up for you guys, which is wonderful. And myself and Brian headed out to the area where we saw a family of warthog with some really small piglets about a week ago. Sadly, no sign of them yet, but we have found a few zebra, and it was equally as good, but so good to be back here. It's incredible the change that can happen in such a short period of time. Just in the 3 nights that I was gone, a lot of rain occurred here, and the change in insect life and reptile life, amphibian life, really is incredible how things have come to life again after the rains. And just to see how some of the small water holes and mud wallows are filled up with water again is really incredible. It feels like I've been gone for a lot longer, considering the changes that we've witnessed. But let's see. Now, Jigga has been still a little bit temperamental, but seems to be working out whatever problems she has, or he has, which is good news. But we did have a slight seem to have a plan of which doesn't involve us viewing them, but I'm just going to try and link ahead and get them crossing the road here, the last few members of this small herd. There we go. Beautiful. Well, there's 2 more that are about to come across the road, and then sadly, due to the thickness of this vegetation, I don't think we'll be able to spend much longer than them. But we take what we can get out here, and it's my first zebra sighting back after being away for a few days, so I'm certainly happy with that. I guess just like anything in life, it is always nice to have a break and a change of scenery from what you may have been doing day in and day out. So just being away for 3 days, I've come back rejuvenated and refreshed, and very, very happy to be exploring this beautiful wilderness again. It was great to also catch up with the guys last night, getting filled in as to what's been happening over the last few days, and it sounds like all has been well, which I'm very happy about. Mark and the 2 other vehicles are still in the area looking for that leopard that you may have got a visual of briefly earlier. But I think you guys would know better than me, because you got to see exactly where it was. That is very, very thick there, which does make following it difficult. But they are still trying. And in the meantime, we are Buffalo's Hook Cutler boundary, a family of warthog that we had seen in an open area not far behind us about a week ago. Maybe they're still sleeping in. Now, for any of you who may be new to the to the WildEarth Safari Live experience, you can
Welcome back, everybody. I'm not giving up on this cat too quickly. I seem to, both Liam and I are under the impression that he didn't go very far, because we would have seen him still walking. The other guys would have seen him walking because they were up on the top here. And I'm trying to think that maybe he's just bedded down somewhere in here. But where is another matter entirely. I wonder if I could get through this buffalo thorn or over this dead wood back up there. Try and listen for alarm calls. But this is what cats do. They when we are with a cat and we're allowed, the cat allows us to watch it for a length of time or lengthy periods, we have to count ourselves very, very lucky. And for some who might think that it's putting a lot of stress on these cats by following them, this is a perfect example of how they choose not to be seen. He was walking in the same direction, he was walking at a steady pace. We were able to follow him fairly well, because even though it was getting quite thick, we had an open pathway to follow his trajectory. And then as soon as the other two vehicles came in, it was like he just put on an invisibility cloak and he vanished into thin air. And that is because he just didn't want the vehicle pressure this morning, I guess. His prerogative. Fine. Let's see where I can get through here. Maybe that way. So people are saying this does look like Kunyuma and not Quarantine, his brother. Squeeze through here. Mind the buffalo thorn there. Don't you dare. People saying he's less shy. Well, I still think he is shy. He also very clever little boy to be able to lose 3 vehicles. And it was literally like a second or 2 that we lost. I took my eyes off the ball because I was trying to see where I was pointing the Land Rover. Liam didn't take his eyes off him at all. Except he went behind the bush in the next minute. There was nothing. Like it was a phantom leopard we were watching. It's a little bit too thick for him to get in with all that buffalo thorn. So might have to give up on this and leave him be. But what is interesting is that there are no more alarm calls. Everywhere he was walking this morning, that little distance that we actually managed to follow him, there were squirrels, francolin, there were a number of things. Maybe he's here at this old pan, an old like wallow dam, man-made little dam back here. Maybe he's somewhere around. But we're gonna have a little scratch around, and then if we don't pick up any sign of him, I think it's time to maybe go find something else. Go in here first. Of course, he might have also dropped down into the drainage line. Stop and listen. Questions at wildearth.tv is our email address. Hashtag Safari Live is our thread on Twitter. Follow us. On an exciting journey through this piece of Africa. Very different to other parts of Africa. Quite typically people seem to think of Africa as sort of quite homogeneous in terms of its open plains, the Serengeti style open plains, which we don't have here in this part of the world. This is bushveld, what we call bushveld. Savannah woodland. Hello woodpecker. That's a woodpecker. I can hear an oriole for Sharon. You can just find it. Yes. See the oriole, but it's the back of a tree, and I can get it from here. I can get it from here. There's a tortoise. Must be eating, not doing much, this tortoise. Something to look at while I listen. See, that's why I think he's lying down now. Somewhere that could be anywhere in a 100-meter radius, under some thick bush where it's nice and dark, where he can sleep in peace. Tortoise is the scrawny little gardenia. Chirp from Franklin. Hello Liz in the UK. Liz also loves the Oriole. When are you coming back to Maswari, Liz? Nice to have you on board with us this morning. See if we can see this Oriole. Try and sneak past this burrow. You can get the Oriole up there through the branches, but it's a little bit far. And it's got the very bright sky behind it. Preening Oriole. Hello Brenda. Brenda's asking if a leopard or a lion would try and eat a tortoise. Yes, they do. But only really the smaller ones. The bigger tortoises are pretty well protected. It's only really small tortoises. Although the henchback tortoise doesn't grow very big. But I've actually brought one to show you. A dead one. And I can show it to you later in a while. Well, we can do it now quickly while we're listening. This is the Speaks henchback tortoise. What we've just seen now is actually the leopard tortoise or the mountain tortoise. Yeah, we'll call it leopard because we don't. What was that? Did you hear something?
Yeah, it sounded like
a kudu.
Yeah.
Which is down the drainage line. This is almost a full-grown, or it was, a full-grown henchback tortoise. And why it's called a henchback is because just about, this is where the back legs come out. And just forward of that is a hinge, and now it's obviously dried because this is a dead specimen, but this is a soft leathery hinge that allows movement of the back of the carapace. And you can actually see that this area here is discolored. This has been chewed, but this would be post-mortem. Something's been chewing on it after death. There's also some chew marks around the shell. What there are though is there are also here on the plastron and the front of the plastron. This is where the front legs come out on either side and the head will come out here. Plastron being the underneath of the tortoise. A lot of chewing going on here. Some of it post-mortem, some of it before death. There are actually some teeth marks. There's a tooth mark here. There's a canine dent over there. So this tortoise must have had a little bit of a brush with a cat before it died. Unknown reason for its death. Sometimes they just die. But sometimes a cat will be able to get at the head or the legs and get some of the meat out of it. The shell is pretty hard. It's pretty hard for the cat to actually get a grip on it, to get those chewing teeth, the carnassials, the side teeth. So because of the shell, that's why you only really see chew marks. We had a leopard here, one of Karula's kids. her second litter. His name was Mishu. Mishu used to love playing with tortoises and terrapins. Anyway, we can try and get back down into this drainage line. It sounded like a kudu. It was a very deep bark. Could have been a kudu. And there was a spot to get in further back. I think. That's what we can do. I think we'll go around, maybe just go around some dams. I'm not sure what our plan should be. We might even have gone through onto Balanites Road. We can make a big loop around there. No other real plan to go anywhere in particular this morning, so we have just as much chance no matter which direction we choose, so we're going to choose this direction for now. And I guess if he doesn't want to be seen, it's best just to leave the area. If he is still there, he gets the message that we're going to give up on him. Morning, Marion in Texas. How are you this morning, Marion? Another drainage line that we could have gone into, of course. This one that flows into the Mulwati. Do leopards verbalize? Well, we would call it vocalizing, Marion, rather than verbalizing. And yes, they do. They make a range of sounds. Their most common territorial call is like a very deep sawing noise, almost like a very rough saw cutting through wood, but it's amplified, of course. I can't do it. Sometimes I can do it. They make other noises when they're speaking to their cubs, when they're calling their cubs, or when they're talking to each other. No, my throat's not in the right place this morning to do it. Very, very guttural, very throaty. Doesn't carry the way lion roars carry, because the leopard doesn't really want to advertise too much. Advertising its presence can bring other predators, particularly lion, because lion territories are a lot larger than leopard territories. So within every lion territory you're going to get a number of leopards within those lion territories, and because they're in competition for the same food source to some extent, lion just like leopard. leopards are easily killed by lions, so they try and avoid them. One of the, obviously the leopard's best defense is climbing a tree. Now, despite the fact that the leopard does tend to go for smaller prey, things that sometimes are a little bit too small for lion to bother with, and despite the fact that even though they are hunting the same things at times, they do have different hunting methods, there is still that competition between the cats that makes them enemies. When a leopard is declaring its territory, it doesn't really want the lion whose territory it's in to find out about it. It doesn't want the lion to know. So when they call, they tend to call into the ground, and it's only really meant for leopard on the border of their own territories, which of course being so much smaller than a lion's territory is a woodpecker. Let's see if anybody can get a good view of it. It will just stay there right ahead of us. And it's gone. I think it was a little Bennett's woodpecker. And I can hear a redback shrike complaining about something. Turning into a lovely morning without that misty rain, drizzle, whatever you call it. Too fine a drop to be a drizzle, and a little bit too heavy a drop to be considered mist. Is it called mizzle then? A misty drizzle. So we got a little damp coming in, but it's stopped now. Might be some more, looking a little bit grey towards the south. Very exciting noise to hear leopard sawing. We call it sawing, especially when I'm at home lying in bed or reading or something and I hear that. And when you hear it loud, you know it's very close, and you have seconds to jump in a vehicle and get out there and look for it, because fairly easy to triangulate. If you hear it once and you can get to a second spot and hear it again, you can get an idea of direction that it's moving. Most often leopard will be calling, declaring territory once it's on the move rather than stationary. Although a female leopard will call, being stationary, she will call for her cubs so that she doesn't move around too much. That's the African Harrier Hawk in the distance, coming up to its nest. And Scott the Dyson. Oh! Are you waiting for eggs to hatch? Hello.
Morning,
you look like our vehicle.
Morning, folks.
Hello.
What a pleasant surprise.
Indeed. Are you waiting for the eggs to hatch?
We are. We don't know how many days we should wait though. It's hard to allocate.
Okay. Do you want me to bring you dinner?
Please. Please.
I can see.
We set a 10-minute time limit. So
I can see some sour plums. I've been looking for sour plums. I must go get some of them. One of the adults there just flew.
Yeah, we've seen them flying around, so we were hoping that they'd come back.
Okay. I'm doing a loop around. That cat might even come through here when it was coming this way.
Cool. Yeah, that's why we try to position ourselves in the general area.
Sounds like the other two vehicles all left and carried on with their drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I wonder if I might find more leopard sour plums. Funny. Pick me one of those, please.
Okay. Sure. See you later.
Bye. try to have 2 vehicles out again. I know we did have a few broadcast issues with that particular engine broadcasting, not playing ball, but at least it gives us twice the opportunity to find certain things, some things. Looks like giraffe were running down this road, very deep giraffe tracks all the way down this road, kicking up a lot of mud. Hard to see if it was being chased by anything. Maybe when we get to some softer ground. See if this crossing is still viable, because we can go up the drainage line a little bit from this crossing. There's a whole entry into the Mulwati River towards the back of Chelapan, and often had the boys here, Mishu and Induna, but we can possibly head up the drainage line a bit. Problem is that this previous flood did make the bank a little bit steep, so hoping that the back doesn't get caught. It should be fine. Beautiful jackalberry up ahead. Can't get too far up the river, but maybe far enough to see if he hasn't come this way. Push, anak, Nyala, not push but. Hello Nyala. What up, girl? You come and say hello. Such pretty little things. Move forward a little bit if you need me to. Sorry. Little one pushing mom along. They are a little nervous. I guess it has something to do with the alarm call. There was kudu that alarmed a little bit further upstream. So let's see if let's head a little bit further. We're going to have to come back past these two. Morning, Peggy. On email. Peggy wanting to know if we ever get flash floods in these drainage lines. Yes, we do, Peggy. We do indeed. After a good solid 100 millimeters of rain. In fact, I believe just recently in the western part of the Sabi Sand they had some serious flash floods. And that was when we had our rain the other day. Here there was hardly any. So things have changed considerably. We used to be able to get past this point. This tree may be struck by lightning. I can't imagine it was knocked over by an elephant because the break is way too high. But what it does seem to be is that at some point the bark was stripped on the one side and parasites and wood borers got into it, and the little thin piece of xylem, the thin piece of tree that was holding this whole thing up, must have just snapped. Could have even just been a strong wind. So about as far as we're going to get. More lantana. So I can try and turn around here, or just do a rewind. The gardenia. Excursion, but not much other than the Nyala. Nice to know that they're there, because if I hear anything from this little corner of the world, I know that maybe he did come this way. But let's continue, let's carry on. If I could find in place maybe to show you, Peggy, where the flash floods have occurred here. In the past we would sometimes see the flood level. Over the last couple of years there have been some pretty heavy rains that have flushed this riverbed out and have changed the banks considerably from when I was last here. Some places much steeper, some places inaccessible where we used to be able to cross in and out. But not today. We need a lot of rain for there to be some flooding here. Just carry on down the river rather than go up to Cheddar Canyon. Let's see if we can climb. This is a perfect example. This was a fairly smooth lip on the edge of the riverbed. That's still fairly good. And he's not good 4x4 protocol to try and start up on a slope, and it's not going to do me any good because it's a little bit wet and slippery. Also I'm trying to get up a very steep you think I'm learning how to drive. A little bit of steep incline and it's a little bit wet and soft. But if I just take it off to the left here a little bit, we should be able to get, there we go. It is the Jigger off, well, it's the Land Rover after all. Don't like all that noise of the tires. Another gardenia. Hello gardenia. So while we're busy making our way out, and I'm still going to look around just a little bit back towards Gowrie Dam, take you back to Scott, back at that Harrier Hawk nest. I think he might still be there, and I'll see you a little bit later, see what else we can find for you in the interim. Bye for now.
Welcome back, folks. Myself and Brian have still not left the African Harrier Hawk nest, which is just in a torchwood tree that Brian will show you now, just in front of the vehicle here. Now, in the main fork of that tree is the nest, and we've been seeing this nest over the last few weeks, but sadly we've battled to show you any visuals of the adults on the nest. They're really beautiful birds, and it would be great for us to be able to show you a close-up visual of them. So myself and Brian have just decided to invest some time this morning in staying here, hoping that one of the adults will come back. Now, there has been one adult flying around the area, and it is nervous of the vehicle, so we don't want to stay here too long. But it is an important and good opportunity for us. Oh, there goes the fork-tailed drongo. Look at this, awesome. The African Harrier Hawk's got all of its head feathers erected. Beautiful. It is a bit far away, but you still got an idea that it is a pretty bird, bright yellow legs and a bright yellow face, which actually changes color to a pinkish red color during their breeding season, which is very interesting. But now this adult will hopefully come back in a little bit of time. It is basically a trade-off between interfering with this animal's plans for the day and giving you guys an opportunity to see it. Now, if it does fly back into the nest and does accept our presence here, going forward for the next few weeks as they raise their chicks in this nest, it'll provide us with a great viewing opportunity. So we just need to spend a little bit of time, invest some time, and hopefully slowly by slowly we will habituate this bird to the vehicle and prove to it that we are not here to harm it in any way. And this is exactly what would have been done many years ago with all the animals, the leopards, the lions, the elephants, everything that we see that now is relaxed with the vehicle and relaxed with our presence, has taken a lot of time from various guides over the years. From about the mid-60s, the Sabi Sands started operating as a photographic safari destination, so it's been 50 years basically of continual habituation of certain animals. Come on, come and land in the tree for us. So, that gives you an idea of what myself and Brian have been up to, and like I say, what an incredible opportunity it is to habituate this animal to the vehicle and also be able to show it to you guys. And going forward, obviously, when the chicks do hatch, we assume at the moment that there are still eggs that are being incubated there, but they could be small chicks, we're not too sure, and that's why we don't want to spend too long here and interfere too much with the adults' plans for whatever needs to be done at this nest, but we'll give it a few more minutes, and hopefully, with a bit of luck, it will come and land. And once it's in there, then I think going forward we'll have a lot more acceptance from these birds. Arriving in the vehicle, you can understand them being a little bit scared and being chased off. It's just taken off again behind us there. So yeah, that's what we're up to. We are also in the area that that leopard was moving through. Okay, here's a cool opportunity that's just popped up, I think. Yes. So now there's some small black birds called Retz's helmet shrikes. Now I haven't personally seen them whilst broadcasting, so this is the first time we've seen them, and I'm going to try and call them. They're in those trees up there that Brian's aiming on, just to the right, Brian, on the tree behind. It's not that one, but it's another one just to the right of that one. That's a Jacobin's cuckoo, which again is another great bird to show, so we'll stay on that one because we often don't get to show them too well. But what I'm going to try and do is call these Retz's helmet shrikes in by doing an owl call, a small pearl-spotted owlet call, and they tend to respond to come and investigate the potential threat. So stand by. Oh, here they go. The other day, a flock of these Retz's helmet shrikes flew into the camp where we stay, and they're really, really pretty birds, but they do need to be quite close for us to show them to you. They're not big, but they've got a beautiful red beak and red around their eyes. And they didn't even batter an eyelid at my initial call that I did there, but that's probably because it wasn't my best pearl-spotted owlet call. I'm going to try it again. It really is interesting. They're not even budging, whereas the other day they did. So either I'm out of tune this morning, or they simply aren't interested. But the pearl-spotted owlet is a very small owl, and it's a diurnal owl, so it hunts a lot during the day, and its prey does consist of small birds. And that's why these specific birds, the Retz's helmet shrikes, who are renowned for mobbing other birds or predatory birds and making their presence known, that is why they would respond to that call to be able to establish where this potential threat is and then come in and let all the other birds know. So there's a few species that kind of consider themselves as the police units out here, serving and protecting others. Now I wonder where this African Harrier Hawk has gone. Myself and Brian said we'd stay here for 10 minutes. We've been here for 20 now. And like I said, I don't want to interfere too much with the adults' plans for whatever needs to go on that nest, whether it's feeding a chick if there is a baby chick in there, or if it's incubating the egg still. We're not entirely sure. Either way, it does have some parental responsibilities that it does need to tend to, so we don't want to interfere with that too much. But at least now that we've spent 20 minutes here, if we did 20 minutes every morning, I'm sure it wouldn't take long for it to accept us and tolerate us viewing it from here. So we'll keep trying that over the next few mornings and see if we can. Oh, okay, Brian's now just spotted both of them, which is great, the male and the female. It's hard to distinguish between the two, or close to impossible. Size would be a good indicator in this opportunity. Should I reverse a bit, Brian? Oh look, the one's got a pink face, which is the typical, I think, which is typical of, oh now this is very interesting, folks. These two are different to the one individual that we saw earlier, and as you can see, they do have that bright pink face, and their legs should be the same color, which is significance of them, or a signal that they are in their breeding kind of plumage. Now I'm just wondering where the third one fits into this whole equation that's got a bright yellow face, because it shouldn't be three of them raising the chicks, yet the one individual with the yellow face did show a lot of interest in this nest. So possibly this is just a coincidence that there's another two here. So yeah, I mean, in the book it says that their faces can become this pinkish color during social interactions and courtship, so it potentially is a time thing. I have seen this before, not very many times, and I don't have a clue how quickly they can actually change back to the yellow pigment, if it's a fairly instantaneous procedure. Oh, beautiful. Oh, one lost its balance there as the other took off. Really beautiful when they flare their head feathers like that. And I'm so happy that, oh, look at that, that was a woodlands kingfisher that swooped in to cause some trouble. Beautiful. It is incredible how much hardship these smaller birds give the big raptors. Now they really do back themselves, the smaller, more agile birds, in being able to get away from them, but still quite a thing taking on a predatory bird 10, 15 times your size would be a guess as to how much bigger this African Harrier Hawk is than the woodlands kingfisher that swooped in on it. Now, as pretty as this bird is, the African Harrier Hawk, they are sadly not very popular amongst a lot of the smaller bird species, because they are specialized hunters of chicks and eggs. They've got very supple legs, almost double jointed legs that they can, there we go, that it kindly showed us there briefly, and what it can do with these legs is fit them into very tight and tricky crevices, holes in trees, cavities in trees where birds may be nesting, and then pull out any chicks and or eggs. So they do create a lot of hardships for the smaller birds, considering that they specialize predominantly on feeding on babies from nests. Well, now folks, it's going to be difficult for us to leave, as we are kind of planning on getting out of here. Then these two with their beautiful pink social or courtship plumage popped into the fray. What will be nice for us is that there is the one with the yellow face that we saw earlier seemed to have a little bit of a dreadlock situation going on its chest feathers. It had a distinctive little matted section of feathers. It was hard to tell exactly what it was, but it is easily distinguishable by this clump of feathers or whatever it may be on its chest. So at least in the coming days we'll try and establish who's who and who the actual adults are, or the owners of this beautiful nest. What I'm thinking of doing is maybe reversing the vehicle a little bit. We'll do a little bit of a test here and seeing that if we position ourselves further away from the nest, the adult may decide to swoop in. Come on, Jigga. Okay, well, Jigga doesn't want us to go anywhere, so that's fine. We're happy with that. Jigga sometimes does make the rules for us out here, and there's nothing we can really do about that other than accept Jigga's decisions. I'm so happy we've got to see this bird with this pink face. It doesn't happen often, and the fact that we spoke about it earlier, and now there's a perfect example busy preening itself out in the open, is a great fortune. Really impressive how they managed to keep all of those individual feathers completely clean and in working order. Now the second individual's come back. It could have been there for a while and I just didn't see it, but Brian, it just, yeah, it appears like it's just come back on the left of the screen. So we'll stay here a few more minutes and see what happens between these two. Yeah, it's very thick. Not an easy job for Brian to follow them if they fly off here, folks. We're on quite a thick area. Just going to give Jigga one more attempt at starting. Okay. No luck there. Well, folks, it may turn out that we are stuck here on a African Harrier Hawk habituation mission for the next few hours while Jigga makes up its mind. But that's fine with me. I think it is a worthwhile investment to try and win these birds over and be allowed to follow their progress in raising the chicks or the eggs or whatever it is that is in this nest. It would be very nice if we could get a camera up there overlooking the nest. We'll have to dig through the storeroom and see if there's any little bits and pieces lying around, because that would be great if we could get some footage as to, well, an idea of what's going on in there. And we've got a very good tree climber amongst us. Jason is our tree climbing specialist. I think it is why he got the job, for his tree climbing abilities. And he prides himself on it, so maybe this is a job for him to... Oh, here we go. Beautiful. Now, the individual that just landed in the tree appears to be carrying some nesting material. And this is a good sign, because the nesting material will hopefully very shortly be flown into the nest. Let's hold thumb, folks. We may be getting the lucky break. Come on. It's looking good. Here it comes. Oh no. It turned out at the last moment. But that's fine. We are getting closer to seeing them land in this tree. And I think it's just a few minutes away now, folks. This is the closest one has come, and like I said, the fact that it is carrying this nesting material is a great sign. Looks like a small branch of a guarri bush. Would have been interesting to see how it managed to break that guarri bush off, because it doesn't seem likely they would have found that just lying on the ground. It would have had to break that itself, which would have been... Oh, look at this. Its face has gone yellow. Almost immediately. It was pink, I'm fairly sure.
Is this not the third one now?
It could be the third one, Brian. I didn't see that funny dreadlock on the chest. I'm just trying to remember. I'm sure it had a pink face before it flew out the tree, and now it's got a yellow one again, which is an incredible ability to be able to change the color so drastically, so quickly. If it did do that, it could be the one that was displaying a yellow face initially. Either way, I'm just happy to see it so close to the nest, carrying that nesting material, because with a little bit more luck, it's going to fly directly into the nest, and the angle that it's sitting at now relative to the nest would be a wonderful shot for Brian to follow as it comes in towards the nest. The nest is basically between us and the bird now, and on our left hand side, so it would be flying kind of straight towards us, and it looks like it's just getting its cargo ready. You can see how long those legs are now, folks, that they use to dig into the... Oh! Whoopsie. Let's just drop the nesting material. So will it go down and fetch that same branch, or will it head off to look for another one? It looks like it's just going to relax and regroup for now. Oh my, it's incredible. Now, they have just changed their face colors instantaneously, folks. If Brian pans back to the other individual, which we know for a fact just a few minutes ago had a bright pink face, it is now yellow. So this is the beauty of the bush, folks, and the beauty of spending time in sightings with animals and investing time in them. You learn these interesting things. Now it's gone yellow again. Has it not?
Mm.
I mean, pink. Was it yellow? No, it's yellow now. With a touch of pink, it's just changed it back to pink again. It's incredible. Let's stay on him, or her, because I promise you, unless my eyes are playing tricks on me, its face had gone yellow just before Brian panned across to it, and now it appears to have gone back to the pink color. But what we can establish from this, and which I didn't know before, is that they, well, I'm fairly certain they can change this color on their face instantaneously. And by spending time with animals, you get to know these little interesting behavioral characteristics, which you'd obviously not be able to know if we just went zooming past. This one's focusing a lot of its attention this morning on preening the feathers, and so important. There's a lot of intricate parts on those wings required for effortless flying and soaring around. These raptors do have quite deep and broad wings, and that's typical of raptors that spend time in thicker vegetation. They need higher power to be able to fly in and around trees, and that comes with a deeper, broader wing. Whereas other raptors that are more prone to open areas and less vegetation during their daily ongoings would be more likely to have thinner wings and slightly longer, which are more suited to open flying. A leopard strolling past. We are apparently in a good spot relative to where... Oh, here it comes, Brian. Let's see. No, it veered off. Okay, but now we can see the individual that's just landed has got a yellow face, and let's watch it closely. Look, it's instantaneously gone pink. Can you believe that? Now, you would have been able to see that, folks. That was awesome. I mean, from yellow to pink, it's a very, very big change of color on the color spectrum. Now, I'm guessing it's just a rush of blood into those pigment cells that causes that pink flush. But whatever it is that allows them to do it, it is impressive, because the speed at which it gets done, as you saw there, was absolutely instantaneous. It landed with a yellow face, and within about 3 or 4 seconds it had transformed to a pink one. As I was saying earlier, before I got distracted with something else, now the size of raptors can help you to distinguish between male and female, and with birds the males tend to be smaller and the females tend to be bigger, which does make sense. The females obviously have to, at this time of the year, carry the eggs for a few weeks before laying them, obviously, so that increased size would be useful for bearing the eggs. And just from a mating perspective, if the male was bigger than the female... Here they're calling. Just a high-pitched kind of a shrill that you may have heard there. But from a mating perspective, as I was saying before they let off that little call there, it would be difficult for the mating process to unfold if the female, or if the male was considerably larger than the female. So judging from that, we could hazard a guess that the male is the one that's closer to us and the female is the one behind. But again, it can be deceptive, because the one that's behind seems to be more relaxed and all those feathers are ruffled up, inducing it to look possibly bigger than it is. A question has just come through from Clancy in Ohio. Good morning, Clancy. Welcome on board. Good to have you with us. And Clancy, folks, has just asked whether certain raptors will use other raptors or other birds' nests that have been abandoned. And they certainly will. There's a fairly large amount of raptors that would recycle old nests, or even use nests of birds like the red-billed buffalo weavers, who create large community nests or communal nests, a large platform of twigs that a raptor could then nest on top of. The hammerkop is another bird that also builds a huge nest that quite often other birds of prey will nest on top of, and the hammerkop nests inside it, in a chamber within the the massive sticks. Those hammerkop nests can be huge, 2 meters by 2 meters, really large clumps of twigs with a small entrance hole and a kind of chamber in the middle that the hammerkop will nest in, and then owls or other raptors will nest on top. So yes, Clancy, raptors will use other birds' nests or old and abandoned nests, do a little bit of a refurb, and then continue. Have their faces change color again? No. So that is a good question, but a lot depends on the individual species and their habitat, nesting habitats. A lot of raptors are as soon as that one took off, its facial colorations changed to a yellow color again, which really does fascinate me, that they can just change the color instantaneously. One certainly does seem a little bit more active and busy this morning than the other that's been perched there the whole time. So in the time that this one that we can see in shots has been perched there, the other one's taken off, and you see now his face has gone yellow. So they obviously make one another blush, these two, when they're in one another's proximity. Yeah, this individual's less busy this morning than the other. Maybe they take shifts in terms of nesting duties or nest duties. Now, with a little bit of luck, that other one that's just taken off will come back with another piece of nesting material and land in the beautiful torchwood tree where they are nesting. Well, folks, myself and Brian appear to be stuck here for a while, which I am not complaining about, because the longer we spend at this nest, the more we'll benefit from it going forward. So myself and Brian will stay here, and with a little bit of luck, next time you see us, we'll be showing you one of the adults in the nest. So why don't you go and catch up with Mark, see what he's been up to, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
We're back at the site where we lost this leopard this morning. He is around here still, I'm pretty sure. There are actually a few birds in the background that are alarming. I've been wandering around because I came across a skeleton on the ground over here, which is actually very interesting. I saw it earlier and I was meaning to come back to it, and we just happened to be back at it. I was looking at this sort of pile of bones. Liam had a look on the other side of the vehicle, and a very amazing thing was discovered. So I was getting a feeling from these bones, but I wasn't really sure, because it's not really easy. I'm sure that leopard's still down here. This, folks, is a really incredible find, because we don't often find the skeletons of predators. And this was a very, very old lion. I think lion, judging by the size of this jawbone. Very, very old. This canine is exceptionally worn. These carnassials, these teeth, which are the cheek teeth, they're known as the carnassials, the cutting teeth. They should have very, very sharp cusps on them. And there's also a very, very severe wear on the side of these carnassials, where the upper jaw carnassials come down and almost permanently file the carnassials, self-sharpening carnassials. Every time the cat would chew. Now, this would be the left side of the jawbone. The incisors, the sockets for the incisors over here. This has been lying out here in the veld for a very, very long time. You can see the patina on the outside has been weathered exceptionally well. or rather that's the inside of the jawbone, but it was facing the outside. This is the outside of the jawbone. This is where the muscles attach, the masseter muscles attach from here, going right up to the back of the skull through the zygomatic arch. The bones themselves are interesting in that it doesn't look like there was too much that fed on the cat after it had died. And I'm guessing that possibly this could have been a cat that died of old age. When I look at this canine, I can actually see the hole where the root was. I can see a hole in this carnassial where the root was probably exposed. So this cat was probably reaching the end of its days as far as tooth wear is concerned. It was probably finding it maybe difficult to chew. There's a chip in this tooth that I'm guessing might have been after death. And the front of the canine is split, and I'm guessing this was before death because of the amount of wear and the amount of the smoothness of the inside of this crack. You can see how, I don't know if you can you see where the tip of my finger is? I can't see my monitor to see what I'm showing you. I'm on the other side of the vehicle. But there's a fragment of this canine towards the front of the canine where it seems to have chipped and then broken off. So this cat was probably in a little bit of pain when it died. One of the vertebrae that I found, this is what we would call the axial vertebra. This would fit the first cervical. This would fit on the back of the head for the articulation of the head. And another vertebra, which is a very pretty little vertebra. I'm guessing this is probably somewhere around thoracic. Now, hopefully you'll still hear me as we go through some of the other bones. This is a scapula with a lot of the scapula being eaten around the outside, but this is all post-mortem. This was all long after this animal died. You can see a very distinct canine hole, and the cracks around this hole indicate that this was a bite into the shoulder blade long after this bone was dry. Got a couple of cracks. So this bone has been picked up and chewed on by hyena. There are some ribs. There are a couple of long bones lying in the grass. This skeleton that has been lying here has been here for a couple of years. The vegetation growing through it is actually quite dense. I'll try and part it for you. No, not quite. Missing one to fit between this. It's like the not a good fit. I guess if I had time, I'd try and fit some bones together. Nice jigsaw puzzle. But it's not happening. Maybe here? No. There's a little bit of articulation there. I'm not very good on anatomy. No. Could be. No. So that's the top of the bone where the muscle attaches, so it would have to go. I'm not sure. I'm going to hang on to the jawbone. Peter Pretorius found a skull below the dam wall. We're not far from it. It would have been maybe 50 to 100 yards from where we are now. And I'm thinking that skull, if only he'd left it here or wherever he put it, would be able to match up with this jaw, and we'd be able to see how the teeth actually fit together and how they are self-sharpening as the animal chews. So I'm just going to hang on to that just in case Peter did leave that skull somewhere in camp. And we're going to carry on and see what we can find. We've had a look around here again for this cat. There have been a few things alarming. I'm going to drop down into the drainage line. We're going to have a look down there and then failing to find him, I will finally give up. I thought maybe looking around, I've been doing circles around the vehicle trying to see if I could find the other jawbone. Unfortunately not. Only thing I found were the shoulder blades and this vertebra. But it's great finding things like this. It's the lessons we can learn from things like this that are interesting. And if I can just find my plug back into Alex, my little umbilical cord. Okay, onward ho. My headband just pulled loose. If I was a little leopard, I'd be lying down on the sand now, laughing at the vehicles because he managed to evade them, elude them. The elusive leopard. We used to get through here a long time ago. That's not going to happen, I guess. Question from Siberia Zumi on Twitter. Do I keep any of the bones for interest or for... I do. some time. I won't be able to keep any of these. This is Kunyuma. I won't be able to take any of these out of the reserve, but I can always keep them here at the research center for future reference for anybody else who comes through. I could give them to mine. At home, yes, I've been collecting bones, rocks and stones and sorts of things over the years. Regular little museum. I'm a hoard, so insect skeletons. I've got a bunch of elephant bones outside my house that the elephants come and touch and move every now and then. But what I've got at home are the things that I found at home. When I was in East Africa, I had a huge collection of skulls and bones because I was walking in areas where nobody had ever been before, so nobody had ever collected. To a large extent there have been guides here over the years who have collected skulls and bones over the years. So it makes it very difficult to find something like a lion skull or a lion skeleton. That's very unusual. Pond here. No sign of any. Squeeze through there, maybe just have to go back from whence we came. If you look at the bank on the side of me here, you can see how over the years the flash flooding has eaten it away, eroded it. Whether he is still here somewhere hiding under a bush or whether he's long gone. I'd say to whoever's zooming today, whichever zoomies there might be, just to keep an eye on Gary Dam, I suppose. And we were on that side of that little pan earlier. Biscuits down here. There's no effects on the sand here, from what I could see, so I don't think he came down into the sand. Mind the buffalo call? Thought, okay. Luckily you saw it. I didn't. Other than some particular and other small birds that have been shouting, and they could have well been shouting at us. Other than that, there hasn't been much in the way of alarm calls. A lovely big. This is who was barking earlier when we heard a big. These kudu bulls that we see from time to time. I heard a very deep alarm call from a kudu earlier. And it would have been one of these boys. Sorry, gents. And I think if he was around, they would have been alarming a lot more. One bark doesn't really constitute a predator. As we found the leopard this morning, I found them because I followed where the guinea fowl were looking. Although we were crossing the dam wall, we would have seen him anyway. But it gave me an idea of where to look just by following the alarm calls of the guinea fowl. And then as we found him, I could hear the impala that were on the other side of the dam wall. I could hear them starting to alarm, and I know that they couldn't have seen the leopard because it was down in the spillway of the dam. And I think they were just alarming because the guinea fowl were alarming so intently. And I think the francolins and the squirrels that were shouting when we lost the leopard might have prompted the kudu to just give off an alarm bark. Very often you'll find that the animal who shouts first is the least likely to be taken. Now there's no chance, I don't think, of a leopard, that young leopard, taking one of these big kudu bulls. I think just a little bit too big for a little cat like that. But they would still react. In much the same way. Eating on the buffalo thorn, fresh leaves. Must be quite delicious for a kudu. Hey, what you can see, boy? Something behind us. There's a cat behind me, stalking me. How thick that neck is. You don't really get an appreciation for the size of a kudu until you're really close to him. His neck is thick as my waist. Try and explore every avenue, and I suppose in the process, process of elimination, really, we're coming to the end of our options. You know, if I'll be able to get up here and certainly try. I remember very well from a few years ago, this little island, as it were, dead creatures are falling around here, blocking our access or exit. We had an impala here that was once upon a time, a female impala that was in a difficult way. And when we came back to try and find her again, she was gone. So I don't know if we'll be able to get through here all the way, but we can certainly try. We used to be able to. The river's a lot deeper than it was in the past. And there are some impala. Some of them are trees that have fallen over, but clearly leopard didn't come this way because they're impala further on. Kudu here. So time to move on. Let's do another area completely, perhaps. Idea is, of course, just to get out of here. The old place we used to. Was that a bushbuck, I think? Not an impala. It could have been a bushbuck. Yeah, that's where we used to get out. It's pretty steep. Just in front of me, top of my hat, this whole area here. We used to be able to drive up through here, so that flood from 2012 has eaten all of this bank away, making it, well, it's not virtually impossible, it is impossible to climb up there. Even this bank we used to be able to climb up going the other way. I can try. Looks like I might be able to get up there and then go out onto Twin Dams Road. Some birchies. I think we got to where that dead tree is. I'm gonna try to get out of here and then head up. Maybe we'll go to Treehouse Dam. Maybe his brother's somewhere there. Oh. Doubt it. It is very versatile little vehicle. Can't think of any other that could do better. Well, how's everybody doing? I hope you're all enjoying our drive this morning. We are We haven't really been doing much other than looking for this cat again. And I thought that I can remember having the Majingi lioness right here too. This is another spot I remember. Of course, this mud walla a lot bigger, a lot deeper than it was. I'm getting deeper in. I need to be going the other way to be able to get out of here. But I'm just reminiscing. Places of the past. It's like elephants spend a long time, or a lot of time, under the these tambutis. So I have to turn around in this little clearing. I guess it's as good as mine. There. Yeah. I forget. Anywhere through here. Not through this tambuch forest, that's for sure. Maybe not through this buffalo forest. Try it. Worry on that. Let's go back towards Silicon and four-wheel drive. Cool. I think it's enough. I say that a few times, enough looking, and then I'm going to go back one more time and have a look. And then VM convinced me to go back one more time to have a look. But I guess there comes a time when one has to give up. If the cat doesn't want to be found, it's not going to be found. End of story. There are other cats to find, there are other things to find. There's some flowers to find. Questions at WildEarth.tv. Safari Live. longer being temperamental again, I think. Yeah. The mud.
Yeah.
Pretty big civet, but yeah. Want to get them on cam. If we can, we can move a little bit off to the side. Maybe pick that up on camera.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Need to be further back. No, that's not good. Just off that side of the. I'm going to pick it up on this, and I can't go more to the right. I can try a little bit. Do another 6 inches maybe. Might help. There's just a tree right next to the road here that's preventing me from going too far to the right.
That's perfect.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, the other one. That one is might be a little bit better, you can see the toes. Would have been a pretty big civet that came through this little mud puddle last night. It'd be nice to find a civet midden. Now, civets are quite unique creatures in that they are omnivorous as far as their family is concerned. The family of animals that the civet belongs to being the viverids, the same family as the mongoose. I wouldn't say that they are mongoose family, they are just belonging to the same family as the mongoose, so they are related, but the family tree splits up just on the subfamily level, I think. The civet is called a civet cat, but I suppose the only connection to cat is the viverids and the felids split up from a superfamily of cats a long time ago, and you get the mongoose on one family and then the cat family on another. So they are somewhat related to cats. I suppose you could say closer related to cats than to dogs, although their paws and their claws maybe more resemble that of a dog than a cat. In fact, in the two lobes at the back of the pad and permanent claws or fixed claws. But during the dry months, the civet eats a lot of fruits that are left over from the summer. There's a raisin bush which fruits a lot during the dry season, buffalo thorn fruits, jackleberries that start fruiting early spring rather, long before the millipedes come up. But now in the summer months, now in the wet season, there are more millipedes about than ever, and the civet is one of the only things that actually can eat a millipede. One of the only mammals, I must add, because I know of a number of reptiles and insects that will eat millipedes. Not centipedes, millipedes, the big round Congoloti, Shongololo as we call it in this country. Most of us grew up knowing them as Shongololo, which is Zulu, and in Shangaan, Congoloti. And the millipedes are essentially detritus feeders. They feed on rotting vegetation, even rotting animal matter. But they do have a very smelly and toxic, to some things, defense liquid that they exude, which contains, as far as I know, contains cyanide, I think, which the civet is immune to. So the civet has a very high diet of millipedes this time of the year, and when we find the toilet or latrine, as it were, in some countries, we'll be littered with the segments of millipedes this time of the year, and underneath it we would find the predominance of jackalberry seeds. You'd find the raisin bush seeds, and you can watch a civet trips through the seasons and know what it's eating. You might find scorpion skeletons, exoskeletons. You might find rodent bones, bird bones. Their smaller cousins are called genets, or genet cats. Once again, not really cats, but genets are not as omnivorous, if any at all. So let's go to Twin Dam. Let's have a quick look around Twin Dam. I want to come back to this elephant carcass road. Fly away, fly. This morning. Oh, elephants, where art you? Wherefore art thou? Where are the LAs today? I saw something across the river. It might just be wood. Maybe worth a look. No, just lion-coloured sand way in the distance. Yeah, sort of way back there. There's a little bit of a sandy bank. Yeah, there. Lion-shaped piece of sandy bank. Shapes and colours that get tricky, and when the brain wants to see something, It's amazing how the brain can trick one into thinking that it is something. And very, very often, very often when you're out on a safari with people are very shy to say, "Oh, I thought I saw something," because they don't want it to turn out to be a termite mound or a stick or a tree or a log or a mound of sand. But you know, for every few times that you stop for a stick or a piece of a mound of sand or a termite mound, you're actually going to stop for something that really is there. So sometimes when you're driving around and you're looking for animals, when you think you see something, you should always investigate it. If you're ever driving yourself through the Kruger National Park, or if you're ever on a safari, don't hesitate to tell your guide, "Oh look, there's some pretty purple flowers, the solanum." It's very much like the flower of the potato or aubergine. I think even tomato flowers are a similar shape. They're all the same family. So this is one of the poisonous members of that family. This produces a little fruit, a little round, almost like a cherry tomato, about the size of a cherry tomato. Doesn't get red, it's green and yellow, and it is poisonous, known as a poison apple. Also known as deadly nightshade. Many different varieties of solanum. There are a number of cultivated types of solanum that people either trim to a standard or trim into little hedges. Very deep purple, very little flowers on the cultivated variety. There's an interesting flower. That's the wild honeysuckle. Doesn't grow very large. I've got some around my house. Wild honeysuckle. This is a first for the ladies. This big termite mound here on my right used to have a giant black mamba living on it. Oh, this is also interesting. There's a Speke's hingeback tortoise eating a mushroom. It's pulled into his shell, and now he's gonna fly up the termite mound. I'm sorry to disturb your mushroom breakfast, little tortoise. Okay. This tortoise is now going to attack the vehicle. It's coming straight for me. I think that must be a psilocybin mushroom, because I have to move, because I don't come under the vehicle, child. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that this tortoise's behavior is a little bit erratic, and it might have something to do with the mushroom. I'm not sure, but that's a bombastic tortoise. Okay, yeah, you go and sleep in the grass there. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. So if any of you are viewers from the past, remember that big mamba skin, the skin of a black mamba that I found. It was about 8 feet long, holding the head as high as I could when the end of it touched the ground, and the end of it wasn't into the snake because it had broken off. There must have been another 8 feet or more that I couldn't find. And I've still got that skin, and it's still on my wall. It's sort of draped over a frame of, no, it's draped over like a railing. I used to hang coats before I managed to get my furniture in, and finally, after many years, earlier this year, I managed to bring all my books and furniture up from the Cape. First time I've had a tortoise running towards the vehicle, or marching rather, maybe it wasn't running. Faint smell of a leopard. Fast now. That's about the clearest we're going to get of the African hoopoe. Its crest was raised as it landed. Now the crest is folded back. Might raise it in interest sometimes when it uses it as body language when they're together. But sometimes when something attracts their attention, they'll raise that crest. But I'm gonna Wiedehop or African hoopoe, Upupa, U-P-U-P-A. Okay, onward go, onward ho, onward we go. Bye-bye hippo. No, no hippo, hoopoe. Hippo's that other thing that lives in the water. a huge termite eruption last night because of the rain that had fallen and the damp conditions, and we drove through clouds of flying termites on the way home last night, and it brought out a number of different frogs out onto the road, frogs that aren't that water dependent, particularly things like sand frogs and rain frogs, and species of the bulldog family. Bullfrog. Sorry. Babylon's got a lot to say. So it was a matter of doing the frog slalom on the way home. Hello Nyala. And the little baby and big sister. Sorry to disturb you, children. Quite a fun bird to mimic. Orange-breasted bush shrike, a very pretty bird but very secretive. But a challenge to maybe try and catch it on camera one of these days. I wonder how Scott's doing. Seems Jigger died on him. I thought it had some, sounds like two colonies of babblers having a competition. Who can babble the loudest. That's how they settle the differences between the two territories. From the edges of the territories you get two different groups of babblers that will collectively babble in a tree. See whose loudest wins. Normally a numbers game. 5 of us, 3 of you, we win. Lots of babblers out this way today. Tienda. If it will stay there. Lying down, about to lie down. Standing up again. We don't get to see them too often. There are times in the year when we do, early spring, late winter, when things are dry and they tend to spend a lot more time out in the open. But quite often when we find them, they just run off into thicker bush. They're very shy. The female steenbok. Male probably around here somewhere. He'll live within his territory, and pretty much all of his territorial. Oh, off he goes. Nice following there. Finally, got a little too self-conscious. almost like everything he does for her. All his territorial markings and all just to keep her happy. So much for the woodland kingfisher. Tea House Dam, Sans Buffalo. Egyptian geese, I suppose. It looks like a little bit of algae building up on the other side of the dam. Okay, relax, children. No need to panic. Not here to do any harm. Oh, stay on the damn wall, huh? I see there's a weaver that's just flown in with a blade of grass, so he's busy weaving. It could be a nest on the western side, the west on the nest, and here he is. Let's watch him weave a little bit. Oh, it's going to reinforce one of the older nests. Pushing it through. Pull it through the hole, push it through. That was a very neat nest. I reckon he'll get lucky. I found another piece of grass. I want to see you do some more. Okay, watch, he's going to listen to me now. Come back in a second with another blade. Sometimes they just feel their nests are never finished. And they'll constantly be adding little bits and pieces, reinforcing where it is. Here he comes. No, there's another one coming to an unfinished nest. He's pushing the end through and he's looking for it on the outside. There it is. And pulls it through. Sowing with a blade of grass to make a nest. Now there are many things in nature that we as humans have copied from over the years, and yet we take credit for inventing them, thinking that it was our superior human brains that thought these ideas up. But the whole concept of basket weaving and weaving grasses to form mats or whatever it may be, it didn't come out of our own heads. It came from humans watching weaver birds in the past. Okay, the other one is back at his nest, the first one we were watching. There's another one on the front nest. What he's doing, that hanging upside down and vibrating or shaking his wings, that's trying to attract a female. There is a female in this tree, and they'll all do that. I think by hanging on the nest and swaying backwards and forwards, they're proving to the female how strong the nest is. She has to be convinced that the nest is going to hold her and the chicks if need be, and not only just in lovely still weather like this, but through very severe winds and even maybe the odd hailstorm. I'd say that this one with the green nest, I'd say he's a little bit inexperienced. He's still practicing. That's very untidy. Here he comes back again. Another blade of grass. And one of these days we'll be able to find some nests that have fallen, so I can actually hold one and show you. Well, we've got one right next to the road. We're going to move along now. Go up to Spam Road, or maybe around Gary Main onto Weaver's, Zoe's Terrapin out of the water. Otherwise, it's a lovely peaceful scene here at Treehouse Dam. This is an unfinished nest. With the bowl. Just on the left is the bowl, and then to the right you can see the entrance to the nest. The mouth. This particular species of weaver doesn't build a tunnel or a passageway, a chimney, but a very neat entrance. And a very well reinforced base where it's tied to the branch. Fascinating. Many other things in nature that we have copied in the past and are now turning to again. In fact, bioengineering or bioarchitecture, anything bio in the engineering field, becoming quite popular, and it's taking examples of nature and using nature's structures and the strength of well, not only shapes, but the strength of different substances and things in nature that we are now trying to replicate and reproduce. I'm going to see if I can find something in the meantime while you go back to Scott, and I will see you just before the end of drive. And we'll just switch over to Scott. He's having a little trouble with Jigger. She started her nonsense again. I think Alex is very lucky that he managed to get her going yesterday and didn't give him any trouble. We haven't isolated the problem on Jigger, but we'll see you in a little while. Bye.
Folks, not much. Perched in a knobthorn tree not too far away. So Brian's just panning past where the nest is and the tree on the right, and then heading on to the knobthorn tree in the background. which is where the 2 Harrier Hawks are sitting, very relaxed, continuing to preen their feathers, but not interested in coming any closer to the nest with our presence. If they were desperate to, and it was critical for the survival of the chicks or the incubation of any eggs that may be in this nest, then I'm sure they would have come back by now, but sadly, due to Jigger's frame of mind, we cannot go anywhere because she just won't start, which is, for me, I think a blessing in disguise. It's been a great opportunity to spend time with these birds, and then later, the shot you're seeing now will have an adult perched on top of that nest. And won't it be nice when the chicks do hatch, or if they do get to that stage, if they don't get gobbled up by anything along the way, which could happen. But imagine they do survive to a point where we can see them poking their little heads up over that frame of nests, frame of sticks rather. So folks, I don't think a lot will change here in the next 15 minutes or so. Brian and I said we would spend 10 minutes here 2 hours ago, and we're still here. But like I said, it's been a relaxing morning for the 2 of us, and thankfully Mark's been showing you guys around today, which is great. So I hope you've been enjoying your time out with us this morning. And from me and Brian, thanks very much for joining in. I'm not sure what the situation will be this afternoon regarding Jigger's health, but we'll be doing our best to try and get to the bottom of this mechanical problem we are facing. But either way, if I don't see you this afternoon, I'll see you tomorrow. But we will make a plan, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Back to Mark.
Welcome back to Zanele, Wendy Zanele, this vehicle, Jigger 2. Well, we're up on Gary May. Looks like the grader's been busy today. That's just nice, which means that we're going to be able to find new tracks, wipes out all the old, even the rain washed tracks, and everything starts anew now. But I'm going to be heading up towards Philemon's Cut Line and the dip and back into Western Gowrie. I'm going to have to have a serious talk with the Jigger after drive, if we can get it back. And it seems like Scott's stuck where he is. Oh wow, wow, wow. Here is a Malachite kingfisher, or a pygmy kingfisher. I think it's a pygmy. It just dived into the pond, but it's right deep in this dead buffalo thorn. So I need to try and find it. This is one of the most beautiful little kingfishers. There we go. Clear shot through there. Oh, come back again. Sitting on a branch on the other side. A little bit far now. I think this is a pygmy kingfisher, not the Malachite. Let's get my book out. I haven't seen a pygmy for so years. I'm starting to even doubt my own diagnosis, identification. It's gone again. Right. So, Raisa, RC, anyone, if you got an idea of, yeah, it's back here in the knobs in this buffalo thorn, and then what it is doing is it's drinking. It's either drinking or bathing. Where's he gone now? The reason why I'm saying pygmy is because we're out in the woodland, and pygmies are out in the woodland. whereas the malachite is invariably around water, but not this kind of water, because the malachite is more of a fishing kingfisher, and the pygmy kingfisher is more of an insect kingfisher, but it is going to use water. It seems to have moved on. That was a pygmy kingfisher, I'm pretty sure. Malachite kingfish. Malachite the same size, and it's tiny. It's a miniature kingfisher. It's a little baby. Not baby, but a third of the size of the woodland kingfisher. And not frogs. Hello, birds. There we go. I'm sure Dave Hill might not be on drive. I believe Dave is in Thailand. He's going through some rough times. His father is very ill, or his father is I don't know how to put it, but Dave, message out to Dave Hill. Dave Hill donated this book to us along with the butterfly book way back when, and it's kind of stayed with my library, and it's always been used for our WildEarth broadcasts. Kingfishers are on T55. This is the Sassel birds, which you now can get actually as an app on for a smartphone or a device. You can get this as an app, and it's a wonderful app because the information is far greater than the information in the book, but you can tap on and play the MP3 clip of the bird's call. Maybe one day I'll be able to get that, but for now I prefer the hard copy book. So it looks like I'm a day without elephants. Going to be debatable for this. This is a debatable subject. They are so similar, but I still think it might have been a pygmy. Morning, little boys. Missing your mummies yet? Yearlings that are fresh out of the herd, with some older rams. And they have to fit into the hierarchy of all the rams. Repeat, you broke up at the end. emails from some folks that it is a pygmy. Some names from those emails, please. Carol. Sharon. Thanks, Sharon. No long-tailed shrikes this morning, magpie shrikes, and well, we had, and on Twitter also sending in none of our usual birders, which is great because it's nice to have others other than the usual suspects. Those aren't the only birders, but sometimes some of the birders are not wanting to be, names are not wanting names mentioned on air. But very lucky, I would say, to catch a pygmy kingfisher on camera. That was very special. Very shy, very small, very fast flying, and the way that they hide, and well, it's not easy to see them. Even harder to get them on camera. And yeah, the assumption that it was pygmy over malachite because of habitat proved true, because it's not likely you're going to find a malachite kingfisher that far away from permanent water. Malachites like clear water. They catch, well, they'll catch tadpoles too, but they'll catch baby tilapia, little fish mostly. There is one species of fish that does live in mud ponds, or these mud pans, but it's further in towards Mozambique and the eastern side of Kruger. I have yet to discover this type of fish living in these temporary pans. It's an incredible fish because it has such a rapid life cycle that it is able to hatch from the egg and mature and mate and lay eggs before these puddles dry up. Of course, the depth of the water has to be, or rather the water has to be deep enough to provide enough hydrostatic pressure for the eggs to hatch. They're fish known as killifish. Quite strangely, they are some of the most colourful fish, the males. The eggs stay dormant. They're able to lie dormant in the dry clay and mud for a good part of the year, up to 9 months of the year, after these ponds dry up, as do many other forms of aquatic life that remain dormant, or some of them just burrow into the mud and are able to survive. There is a fish known as a lungfish that is able to create a chamber under the clay, under the mud, and survive on breathing air. It's an air-breathing fish, hence the name lungfish. Even the catfish are able to survive in very basic moist conditions. We're heading out here on the open area, quarantine open area. Especially since it's not too sunny and hot. There are a few patches of patches of blue coming through, breaking open the cloud. Might get some sun through the day. Which is a big relief. We don't want rain today. Not today. Not all days. significant tracks up here. This is a very important junction, this, because it's sort of the converging of roads, and very often carries a lot of animal traffic, especially coming up from Philemon's Dip, from Treehouse coming up to the open area. And I would have thought that being overcast, the animals would have found it unnecessary to head into the thicker bush to find shade cover. Overcast. The animals would have found it unnecessary to head into the thicker bush to find shade cover. And it looks fairly quiet mammal-wise. Something here, one of the vehicles watching something. And I suppose it's just running out of time, end of our drive. I guess we'll see you in a few hours time. Hopefully we can get Jigga up and running again, and hopefully we'll be able to have a two vehicle drive. So until then, yes, excuse me, yeah, I'm busy. Sorry, I know I'm supposed to be signing off. So from me, Mark, BM on camera, Alex in final control. We'll be back at around 4 o'clock Central African time. I hope to see you then, and hopefully we'll get the Jigga up and running for then too. Bye bye.